Okay. Are we ready? Look at the agenda so far.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay. All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, minutes of March 16th, 2021 board meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay. Public hearing for FY 2022 county budget. Motion's open, public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion, we're ready. Okay, do we have any written or verbal comments?
I have received none.
Okay,
Any questions out there?
yeah. None? All right, okay, the
I
motion.
refuse to go on until we have at least one question.
We can't say they're all.
You gotta
day.
look at it in the way that they trusted us to do the perfect job.
I was just telling
Yeah,
Kelly,
yeah.
You're supposed to say that.
the old days when we,
I'll give you a question, Jerry. What do you see as like the biggest changes in this budget from last year? What do you see? 'Cause looking at the numbers, a lot of them are pretty similar to what they are in this current fiscal year, but anything coming up that is a big change in the budget?
I think, I don't know if you call it a big change, but I think the best thing about this budget, the county's able to continue on its operations without any real reductions. We've not laid off any employees, we've not cut any employees. Any of the capital improvements that we wanted to do, we still have planned to do. And on top of all that, we're able to reduce the overall county-wide rate by about 6.5 cents. And the in-town rate is reduced by, I think, 12 cents. So, to be able to carry on your operations just like we have been and still have a reduction in the tax rate, that's a real plus. And if you look at what the board's intentions were, when we sat down, we have goals of, okay, we need to carry on our operation, but we also don't want to tax the people if we don't have to. And to be able to do both, it turned out pretty good.
What do you think is, I guess, the real key to keeping your balances in line with the way you want them? I mean, is it, do the different departments stick pretty close to what, basically what they need and not really try to ask for more than they need? What do you think is the key to having a pretty fair, fairly healthy budget?
Well, the key is the department heads. Like you said, we prepare the budget like 6-7 months before it's going to go into force, and a year later we're still in that budget. So for them to look ahead on what their needs are, they do a really good job. And if they find out, and it's been this way the 20 years I've been here, the department heads, if they budgeted something and they find out they can get by without it, they don't spend it. And since they do that, we look at them and say, okay, if you don't need it, don't spend it. And if you find in the future you do, you'll get it, because that money goes into the carryover balance. And it's one thing to watch your expenditures, but it's another thing to watch your balances so you don't get in trouble when something major comes up you didn't budget for, you didn't plan for, you didn't think about. We've got the balances there to cover it whenever we have to have a budget amendment. So it's really a twofold thing. You watch your expenditures and you watch your balances.
I noticed, the overall revenues are up, about $400,000, I think it was. The overall expenditures also are up this year. Are there any significant areas of those expenditures that have led to the increase, do you think?
Well, if you look at the small amount, really compared to, a $22 million budget, that small increase, just the regular inflationary things like salary increases, I think the 2% salary increase will be about $130,000. You know, and then the inflationary costs of whether it's utilities and just the products, fuels went up since we budgeted the last time. So I don't think that increase is because of any major plan things. It's just for covering the inflationary things that happen each year.
I got it.
That was 3 questions. You said a question.
Okay, okay, anybody else have anything to say? Speak up now, forever hold your peace.
Make
Okay,
the motion to close the public hearing.
Second.
all in favor? Aye,
Aye.
opposed? Motion carries. Okay, resolution 15, 2021, FY 2021, 2022, Wapello County budget.
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
All right.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay. EMA report to supervisors on COVID response expenses.
Well, speaking of unbudgeted events, so it was back in October that I first came to you and discussed opening a testing clinic, and we discussed what that could cost and what that need would be. And at that time, we knew we had some CARES funding that I worked on with Kelly and law enforcement and public health. At that time, our projection for the cost of a 26-week clinic was $203,356. And some of our funding sources were a bit in question. Now in March, being on the other side of it, we completed testing, which we concluded a little bit early on February 25th. And we talked about prior that the need for that was the testing demand was down, and we shifted those contract nurses resources to doing the vaccine administration. So I have an updated spreadsheet here before you today to show you kind of in retrospect what our expenses have been and where we're applying for those different funding sources. So one of the things we were able to do was bill the governor's office. They allowed us a stipend per test of $25 that would help us with our expenditures locally. And we completed 4,159 tests during that run between October and the end of February. So we billed the governor's office $103,975, which gave us a little bit of a buffer because our actual expenses on our contract nurses is projected for that period to be $98,708. So the balance of the cost of the contract nurses, since we're using the balance of their contract for vaccine, is a new funding source available to public health. They have $100,000 to spend in a year's time for vaccine point of distribution. So that remaining $26,731 will go to that vaccine grant. So I'm able to apply to FEMA public assistance. I've received $14,474 in the first round of expenses I put in for. We've received 75% of that back. And then you'll see I've moved some of the other expenses to a new application I'm currently working on. We're waiting on 2 bills I need to process yet for rent and cleaning. Once those make it through this claim run, those expenses in the boxes will go into a new application for FEMA PA. So that really dramatically changed our amount of money that we're actually pulling from our CARES funding down to $36,247. And all of that is expenses for my office because emergency management wasn't given any direct funding. So you were gracious enough to assist me with that. And then that just leads, so the total amount we'll get from FEMA PA is $50,452. So our total clinic expenses for testing is $189,630. And just for fun, I've done some math. Now this, just to kind of get an idea of what the cost per test is, this does not include all of my time and resources in running this clinic. But if you just divide these expenses we're talking about on this page, works out to about $45.60 per test. It's kind of the value of that test with all this extra funding.
Now, what was the 189,000 a total of
So it's a-
189,000.
It's a total of all these expenses that went into running this clinic. So that does not account for my time. Because, I'm regularly budgeted, but the non-budgeted expenses to pull off this project was that 189,630. And we were able to serve 4,159 people doing so. And I have to give credit to you all because it would have been possible without you committing to this up front. Because if you look back in October, we had talked about that $203,000 estimate and how much of that was going to come out of our CARES funding. We anticipated the first round was going to cost us $127,228. The second round was $76,128. And you were willing to front that money from that CARES grant. And now at the close of it, we're only going to take away just a little over $36,000 from that CARES grant. So I thank you for being forward thinking and supportive, and it didn't work out, but you know how these funding things have went. They kind of rolled out as we went along. But if you look at some of the graphics I've shared with you in some of the weekly reports, just how well timed I think the testing resources met the demand. I think we've done a pretty good job in our county with all of our teams in anticipating need and responding appropriately.
I think what you had said about being forward thinking, I don't know as if I would even say it was forward thinking on our part. I think all of us, and I'm not just talking to us, but yourself and public health, and we looked at this as this is what our job is for this. Whether other people did that or not, doesn't matter. That I think if we wouldn't have done this and other counties like us, that we'd still be behind the 8 ball today more than what we are. So I think we absolutely made the right move, but I don't know as if it was ever anything that was questioned on any of our parts, because we seen this is what we're going to have to do to get through this and get back to normal. So, and I think that's what the CARES funding was designed for,
Absolutely.
not for other projects or, different things that, there's always gray areas and that's fine, but I'm very happy with the fact that we used the CARES funding to do what it was meant to do.
And you did. And there was a question that came up a while back that Kelly and I fronted on that use of the money. And when I put the question back to the state, I said, this is how our board is handling it. And they're like, that is absolutely exactly how we intended it to be used.
Have you ever, during this whole thing, have you ever got any money from the city of Ottumwa of the $500,000 in CARES money that they got?
The only money I ever see is what you've given me.
Okay.
Well, I appreciate your efforts, and we never see like Linnell, but I know she's working herself to death behind there. And a lot of the efforts that you guys put in make Wapello County look good. If you look at the complaints, and we're at the office every day. If there's complaints, we're going to hear it. There have been very few. Some of those complaints were beyond our control, where people wanted to get the vaccine and it just wasn't here. But I think in starting with the process of testing people, we didn't have to, but we did. And we increased it because we needed to. And then when the time comes to stop it and put our efforts somewhere else, you guys that are working really close to it, you make a recommendation to us. And, it looks like we made the decision. We made it based on what you guys that are right out there on the floor, what you recommended for us. It wasn't something that the supervisors come up with. February 25th, the magic date. You guys knew that, so you tell us. I think we've been able to follow good direction from you guys that have been out there really in the battle. And I couldn't be more pleased about the process we went through. And I'm one of them that had the virus. So.
Well, thank you, Jerry. I appreciate that. And since Deb's in the audience, I want to thank her because Deb and then her counterparts, our city clerks, really done a heavy lift with the rural clinics and taking those phone calls from seniors. And we completed the first round of all those clinics last week, and a lot of happy folks out there. Our pharmacies have done a wonderful job. In fact, our list started long and they went down quickly, didn't they, Deb? Because everybody's working so hard. And today we're sitting in a position where I think majority of our seniors are completed and we're moved on to the next group. And I think we'll probably hear from Governor Reynolds tomorrow that the supply chain will improve and it'll be a lot less restrictive.
Well, and again, the part there where the city clerks and Deb did that work in the townships, that was something new and innovative, you know, that you guys recommended, and it was just so successful. You know, I could hear Deb on the phone just constantly taking the calls, but it takes that to get it done effectively and efficiently. And that was another new idea. We didn't come up with it, you know, you guys come up with it, and we followed through on it. That was a good idea. And this whole process has been filled with things like that. And when we do, years ago, we would do tabletop things, or we would all go pretend like a tornado hit the hospital. And there's people say, yeah, this will never happen. Yes, it does. Now, it may not happen here. It might be in Illinois or Missouri, but this time it happened to all of us. And I think we were extremely prepared. All of those practices make you, when the real time comes, you're ready. You guys were very prepared.
It's a job well done.
Thank you. Thank you all. Appreciate your support. Couldn't do without you.
Okay. Anything on that?
No.
Okay, agreement between Wapello County and Highland Township trustees.
The Highland Township trustees need to put a roof on their, I guess, their community center or their town hall, and it needs some window work. I've been in contact with the state to see if the trustees could borrow the money from another fund that they have. But since they're not under home rule like we are, the county can borrow money from our other funds, but they can't. However, the state told me that they could borrow the money from us. You can't put like 1/3 of the roof on and wait till next year and do another third. So they have asked for about a $6,300 loan to be paid back over 3 years, and it's going to do the work on the community center for the roof and windows. They're allowed to levy 13.5 cents per thousand each year for this town hall, and they will pay us $2,100 a year over 3 years. That'll leave them a little over 3,000 where they can continue to maintain the town hall. So I make a motion to approve the agreement.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Contract approval for deed easement purchase from Avery Family Farms LLC by Wapello County.
This here is for right of way for a bridge and 3 culverts on 22nd Avenue, way up in the northeast corner of the county. Be replaced.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Review approval of 5-year construction program revision.
So this is here for a, use our FM funds to do a rock hollow spring. For July 1. And this would allow us to dip into those funds to get additional rock on our gravel road.
Yep, how much does that amount to then?
We're shooting for like 200,000. Try not to exceed that.
Okay,
Motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Resolution for 2021 family farm tax credit for 2020.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Okay, personnel request for payroll for new hire Jessica Engel, the CO1 Sheriff's Office.
Motion. Second.
Okay, all in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign. A request for payroll approval, new hire Susan Osorio, the CO1 Sheriff's Office.
Move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, aye. Opposed, same sign, carries. Okay. Got any other business?
Don't have anything.
I just received word that we were just awarded just under $300,000 for pavement markings and rumble strips. And that will cover about 20 miles of the road. And that's 100% free money.
I like free money.
Yes, sir.
We mentioned the rumble strips. Is that to construct in areas where we don't have it?
Correct. So the overall, what we have to do to even apply for it is we either have to do centerline rumble strip or edge line rumble strips. And we have to groove in the pavement markings and paint 6-inch edge white lines. And that will get us about 20 miles of pavement.
Do you have a specific pavement you want to do this on?
We applied for the agency Hedrick, 73rd Street, Compentine, a little bit of the Parson Road going north out of Parson, and the east-west road there on 185th, I believe. The pavement heading towards Pekin Schools.
Are those all asphalt or are there,
It's a mix between asphalt and concrete.
how do you make the rumble strip in the concrete? Just grind it?
Yes, there's a machine that comes through. It's either attached to a truck or to a skid loader. And it's on a wheel that's constantly spinning, and then just kind of pick it up, set it down, pick it up, set it down.
It's got diamond cutters in it, doesn't it, or something?
So depends on there's two different types. There's kind of one more of like a hammerhead, and then there's one that's actually a bunch of saw blades packed really tightly together.
Where's the money from?
The state of Iowa HSIP, Highway Safety Improvement Program.
Well, that's good. Do you have anything else?
Move to approve, or move to approve, what are we doing?
Public comment.
All in favor,
Second,
aye?
whatever.
I'll second,
All in favor?
whatever.
All